Have you ever had the persistent feeling that you were born in the wrong era? Or perhaps, when you look around at modern society, with its noise, superficial conversations, and obsession with the immediate, you feel a deep exhaustion, an inexplicable desire to go home, even without knowing where that home is. If you've ever felt like a stranger in your own nest, or the black sheep who observes everything in silence, I have news for you. This is not a defect. This is not depression. And it is definitely not arrogance. Modern psychology tries to medicate this feeling. But ancient wisdom had a very specific name for this type of mind. And if you have this feeling, you are not lost. You are being prepared. But what if I told you that this diagnosis is completely backwards? What if this feeling of not belonging to this world is not a defect in your system, but proof that your operating system is actually more advanced? Today, we're going to dive deep into neuroscience and ancient wisdom to explain why you feel this way, and more importantly, why the world is desperate for you to continue thinking you're a problem, when in fact, you're the cure. If this made sense to you, could you like this video and follow our channel? This helps us grow and lets us know that our content is helping more people. So let's look at the facts. Neuroscience has discovered that certain minds have heightened activity in the frontal lobe and greater sensitivity to sensory stimuli. In simple terms, you see what others ignore. You feel the weight of things that are invisible to others. There is an old feeling, a kind of constant buzzing in the back of your soul that you have carried since childhood. No matter where you are, at a crowded party, a family gathering, or even walking with friends, suddenly you are hit by a wave of isolation. It's as if, for a second, reality fails. You look around and think, what am I doing here? These conversations, these concerns, why does it all seem so small? While most people can turn off their brains and go with the flow, your mind is constantly searching for patterns, searching for truth, searching for meaning. Modern society has many names for this. They call it social inadequacy. They call it anxiety. Sometimes even depressive disorder. They say you need to try harder to fit in, that you need to be more outgoing. But what if I told you that this diagnosis is completely backwards? What if this feeling of not belonging in this world isn't a defect in your system, but proof that your operating system is actually more advanced? The ancient sages called this the weight of vision. Historically, every individual who brought great change to the world, prophets, inventors, philosophers, shared this very same symptom. The inability to conform to normal. Here are 3 signs that your isolation is not a social flaw, but a defense mechanism of a mind designed for something greater. Sign number 1. Biological intolerance to the trivial. Have you ever felt your energy physically drained after 5 minutes of small talk about the weather or gossip? For most people, this is socializing. For you, it's torture. There is a concept called sensory processing sensitivity. While most people have a mental filter that blocks out noise, lights, and, most importantly, other people's emotions, your filter is more porous. You absorb everything. You walk into a room and instantly know who is sad, who is lying, and who is angry, even if no one says a word. In evolutionary biology, this had a vital function. In ancient tribes, most people were warriors or builders, focused on the immediate task at hand, but the tribe needed the watchman. The watcher had to be hypersensitive. He had to hear a twig snap 100 meters away. He had to feel the change in air pressure before the storm. What you call social anxiety today is what the ancients called the gift of discernment. Psychology explains that introspective minds crave depth in order to release dopamine. The trivial does not nourish you, it starves you. In biblical history, we see figures like Elijah or John the Baptist. They did not live in palaces or crowded squares. They were pushed into the desert, not because they hated people, but because the noise of the crowd interfered with the frequency of the message they needed to carry. That is why superficiality causes you physical pain. When you are forced to have trivial conversations about the weather or gossip, your sentinel brain panics. Not out of arrogance, but out of starvation. Your brain is designed to process complex data, deep patterns, existential questions. Feeding it small talk is like trying to put cheap diesel in a supersonic jet. The engine stalls. There is a theory by Polish psychologist Kazimierz Dąbrowski called positive disintegration. He said that people with high development potential need to feel that they don't fit in. This anguish, this pain of not being the same, is necessary to break your old identity and allow you to rise to a higher moral and spiritual level. You are not broken. You are in constant metamorphosis in a world that prefers static statues. Your boredom with the modern world is not antipathy. It is your intellect rejecting food without nutrients. You seek deep conversation because your soul knows that time is too short to be spent on what is not eternal. Sign number 2. You see the end before the beginning. You often remain silent in discussions because you already calculated the outcome of certain actions months ago. While everyone celebrates a reckless decision, you anguish, anguish, a tightness in your chest. This is what we call high-level pattern recognition. It is an evolutionary and spiritual trait. It was the role of the sentinel in ancient times, the one who stood in the watchtower, awake while the city slept, because he could see the danger on the horizon. Society calls you a pessimist or overly concerned. The truth? You are a compass in a world that has lost its way. Your anxiety is often not fear. It is the frustration of seeing the precipice and not being able to make others hear your warnings. Silence becomes your refuge, not out of shyness, but out of wisdom. And finally, the strongest sign, the chronic feeling that time is running out and you have something to do. Even when you are relaxing, there is a battery in the background of your mind, a subtle urgency. This is what differentiates the dreamer from the chosen one. The dreamer wants to escape reality. The chosen one wants to transform reality. This inner restlessness is your spiritual GPS trying to recalculate the route. It is proof that you were not made just to pay bills and die. There is a file, a code inside you that needs to be executed. Great narratives call this the call to adventure. Your spirit knows that you have a role in history. Great narratives call this the call to adventure. Your spirit knows that you have a role to play in history, and it will not let you rest in the comfort of mediocrity. This anguish is the fuel for your movement. Moses, before freeing a people, had to flee the palace and live as a shepherd in the desert of Midian. Elijah, the greatest of the prophets, had moments of deep loneliness and death wish inside a cave. Even Christ was taken to the desert before beginning his ministry. Why does this pattern repeat itself? Why are the chosen ones always initially the rejected ones? The answer is what we call frequency calibration. If you feel disconnected from society, it is because you are being preserved from it. Imagine if you fit in perfectly. Imagine if you loved the same trivial things that most people love. Imagine if you felt comfortable with lies, cheating, and moral mediocrity. If you fit in, you would be just like them. And if you were just like them, you couldn't help them. The feeling of not belonging is your spiritual immune protection. It is the universe, or God, putting a fence around your mind saying, not this one. This one has another purpose. You feel like you're alone, but in fact you're being incubated. Loneliness is the laboratory where character is forged without the interference of public opinion. Those who can't be alone end up becoming slaves to the approval of others. And those who have a mission cannot have human masters. But how do you know if you are just an antisocial person, or if you are, in fact, carrying this sentinel DNA? There are 3 stages that confirm that your not belonging is a calling. The first stage is the rejection of lies. You begin to lose the ability to pretend. Things you tolerated before, false friendships, purposeless jobs, toxic environments, become unbearable. Your physical body begins to reject places your soul has already abandoned. The second stage is the search for origin. You find yourself obsessed with understanding who you are. You devour books, videos, philosophies. While your friends want to discuss the football game or the soap opera, you want to discuss the universe, morality, the future. You have a hunger that no food can satisfy. The third stage, and the most crucial, is X-ray vision. You begin to see the intentions behind actions. You see the sadness behind the clown's smile. You see the insecurity behind your boss's arrogance. This is heavy. It's a burden. But it's also the greatest power a human being can have, the truth. If you are in these stages, understand, the world is not getting worse for you. It's your vision that is becoming clearer. You are not here to blend in, but you are also not here to run away forever. You are the salt of the earth. Salt does not serve the same function as food. Salt is different. If salt loses its flavor, if it tries to be like meat or rice, it is useless. Its function is to be different. Its function is to bring flavor and preservation. Your sensitivity exists to bring empathy where there is coldness. Your deep insight exists to bring solutions where there is confusion. Your strict morality exists to bring justice where there is corruption. So, the next time you feel disconnected from this world, don't try to force yourself to fit into molds that are too small for you. Don't envy the happy ignorance of the crowd. Your loneliness is your laboratory. Your sensitivity is your radar. Your feeling of not belonging is the greatest proof that you belong to something higher. The world doesn't need more people who are the same. The world needs those who had the courage to walk alone, to seek what was lost. You feel that you do not belong to this world because you were sent to help build a new one. You are a visitor, an ambassador from a higher homeland. And ambassadors do not naturalize. They represent their kingdom of origin. You are not wrong, you are just chosen. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.